Bryan Wilson, Quinnipiac women's basketball assistant coach.
So he's Bryan Schwartz, I'm Josh Silverman. We'll get to know you a little bit. First question, kind of, how did you get into coaching?
So I was a practice player I was an undergraduate at the University of Virginia, and I had a friend who was a manager for the women's team, and they were looking for some guys to practice against, which is very common practice now. And so I did that just as something fun to do, and fell in love with it. Got to be part of a team, got to know the coaches and kind of the inner workings behind practice planning and game prep and things like that.
So this was your first year as an assistant coach at Quinnipiac. Before that, you were the head coach at Connecticut College. What made you interested in moving from Connecticut College to Quinnipiac?
Yeah, so I loved my job at Connecticut College, and that was a program that we really, when I got there, it was at the bottom of the NESCAC, and we really built it into something I'd like to think was pretty special, and we were very happy there. I think the opportunity that Quinnipiac presented to be working with Coach Fabry and just the ability to hopefully grow and learn from her and bring some of my experiences from Connecticut College and add something new here was just a really, it wasn't about like, hey, I want to be D1 or anything like that. It was specific to Quinnipiac and to Coach Fabry. This was a program I was familiar with. I used to come up and watch practice or workouts when I was at Con College just to pick up some ideas and some new drills and things like that. So she was someone I was familiar with. I knew Mountain McGilvery very well. We came to games, we followed the team. So there was certainly a comfort level.
You talked about Coach Fabry and how your relationship kind of with her has developed over this last year and becoming more comfortable with her. How was it to work with her this year, your first season?
It was tremendous. I learned first. I just learned a ton. Like I remember, probably after the first or second workout in the fall, going up to her and be like, "Oh my gosh, if I had done half of this stuff at Connecticut College, we would have been so much better there." But just her competitiveness and the way that she has kind of built practice and our practice plans around competing, I've just taken so much from that. I've grown over the course of this year, and just how direct she is. Like, a lot of coaches are afraid to hurt feelings, or they kind of want to tiptoe around issues so they don't upset the apple cart. And she's just in a place where she can, whether it's to a staff member, or it's one of our players, it's like, hey, this is the issue I see. Here's what needs to happen moving forward, and that alleviates so much drama because she takes out all the gray.
So obviously, Quinnipiac is Division I. What are some of the challenges of coaching at the Division III level that some people might not realize?
Oh, let me count the ways. I think the first thing is just the time that the NCAA restricts. Like we basically, I could only be in the gym working with players from November 1st through the end of the season. So there's no, you don't get any time with them in the fall before the season starts, or in the spring when the season is over. Which I think, I was always frustrated by that, because the players want that. Like, they want to get better. And they would really benefit or have benefit from being able to do some skill work outside the season. So, just the restriction in the playing season, that's huge. The level of support, and it's no one's fault. It's just the model at that level. But, your staff is very small, and I didn't have like one full-time assistant. You're kind of trying to patch it together with volunteers and part-time assistant coaches. The level of funding isn't, it's just not where it needs to be. And again, it's no one's fault. That's just how it is in these smaller schools. So we had to do a lot of fundraising for, just basketball, socks, practice, stuff like that. Like you gotta find ways to get money for all of that.
We talked about Bryan Wilson, the coach, a lot. What's Bryan Wilson, the person outside the arena, like?
You have to ask some other people about that and get that perspective. But so, I'm married, father of 3. My wife and I are Christians. We found an awesome church we love in New Haven. That's been a real blessing in coming and moving into the Hamden community. But we have 2 girls. We've got a son. So I'm just, I'm in the middle of doing that, of being a dad to 3 great kids, and trying to be the best husband I can be for my wife every day, and and trying to do everything that I'm doing, in a way that brings God glory.
So we've seen it when you come over and talk to us after games, or even doing anything like this. We ask the players about you. They light up. They only say great things. What is it like to hear that the players have that kind of respect and admiration for you?
No, obviously that feels really, it feels really good. You get into coaching because you want to make a difference in people's lives, because you want to have relationships and build relationships and add value, and at the end of the day, like, winning games obviously is a big part of, especially Division I athletics. Like, you'd be remiss if you just didn't own that. Like, we got to win, and the reason Coach Fabry's been here for as long as she has is in large part because she wins a lot. But years and years from now, like, the wins and losses, they fade, and it doesn't matter. Like, winning the MAC championship this year doesn't make me a better dad or a better husband or a better Christian. So that part of it is really awesome to hear, because that is going to be the longevity. Hopefully you leave a legacy when you leave a place. That the women on the team felt like I added something to their lives and to their experience, and those relationships will go beyond any wins and losses next year, and any championships. Like, that's what you want in life, is 20, 30 years from now that you still have relationships with some of the people you coach. And again, when I'm catching up with Paige or Jen or Aaron, 20 years from now, it's not going to be like, hey, you remember that out of bounds play I drew up against Maris? You're going to be asking about kids and grandkids and marriages and all the stuff that that really matters in life.
What is next in the Bryan Wilson story?
To be determined. I'm really happy here. I want to, again, continue to be the best assistant coach I can be right here at Quinnipiac for Coach Fabry right now. And, I'm old enough now. I mean, life just, you never know what's coming down the road. You always want to be open to those opportunities. Like, me being here, like, I didn't know this was going to happen. This wasn't part of a plan or anything like that 4 years ago or 5 years ago when I was coaching at Connecticut College. So, we're really happy. We're gonna just embrace our time here, and